everybody, and welcome to Watch It or Don't. I'm Tom, this is Matt, and this is Dan. And today we're reviewing Ant-Man, the final entry into Marvel's Phase 2, directed by Peyton Reed. It's about Ant-Man. It's about a guy who can shrink to the size of an ant and control them, which is a pretty outrageous idea.
Yeah.
And, I mean, kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, it was kind of unclear how this would go. I think overall we can say turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
I think I have a couple more gripes about it than these guys might, but
Yeah, I mean, it stars Paul Rudd, who's
Yep.
always he's the charming guy.
Yeah.
I think he's great for this role.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Lang.
Yeah, he's always
Yeah.
good. And then Michael Douglas is kind of the old mentor,
Mhm.
Hank Pym is
Playing
his
Hank
name.
Pym.
Yep. Who's the original Ant-Man.
He's the
Yeah.
original
Okay.
Ant-Man.
I don't know the comic history as well,
It's
but
okay, we'll fill in the blanks.
yeah, going into it, I knew nothing about Ant-Man really, and
Yeah.
I had a good time.
Good.
You know,
Yeah.
I like the characters. A lot of the side characters are good. Evangeline Lilly's pretty good. Michael Pena's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
No one really steals the show, but it's overall solid.
Steals. It's a heist.
It is a heist movie.
yeah,
That's one of the things I liked about it. I liked the heist part
well,
of it.
you said that you didn't know anything about it, and that's why you enjoyed it. The only reason why I didn't like it, and I love the movie, but if I had to say there was something I didn't like, it was that being a comic nerd, I knew everything that was going to happen. I
Really?
wasn't
Yeah.
overly
That's all in the
surprised. You can put together from Scott Lang, who's a thief, and how he becomes Ant-Man. If you know that entire storyline,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
have seen enough from the trailers,
I
you're not
knew, I
gonna
knew
be too
enough from the trailer
surprised.
where I knew what was going
And
on.
that-
but-
Okay.
I could also kind of tell what was going to happen with everything, but I think it was for a different reason, and this is one of my major complaints, is that the movie just had so many different cliches that it was like, a lot of it was, it's overdone, these training montages, which were fine.
Yeah.
In and of themselves, the cliches weren't terrible. It was just the fact that it was so many of them strung together to make the first 2/3 of the movie, I felt like.
Yeah,
Mm.
And,
I
I mean,
understand that.
it felt like the same formula as watching The Italian Job or something like that. you
Well, they
know?
wanted a heist movie, so they were playing that by the book.
Right, which they did, but
Yeah.
it just...
I will
you
say
know.
the action in this is pretty great.
Yeah,
Um,
the fight sequences.
and the bummer is they don't really get into the good fighting stuff until like the last fourth of the movie.
Yeah.
Really. There's a lot of setup, and the setup's not bad. I like the character interactions,
Mhm.
and I was kind of like mildly enjoying the movie. But then when I get the action, it's actually like, wow, this is pretty exciting. This
Yeah.
is pretty exhilarating. I like it.
Right.
The way they kind of shrink the guy down, and then you can jump back up, and then
Yeah.
all these ants are with them, which were kind of
And-
weird. But I went with it. I guess
You roll with it,
Yeah.
you
The
roll
first time we really get to see him fight is, and I won't spoil
Yeah.
too much here, but it's someone we've seen before, and it's when we first get
Oh,
to see
yeah.
Ant-Man fight, and it's just a great scene. It's
Yeah.
really fun, and again, watching him kind of shrink down and grow back to normal size and use that technique to
No, it was amazing.
outfight someone who's clearly better than him
hmm
it was pretty great.
And you're referencing a kind of a crossover to the other Marvel
Yep,
movies.
yep.
I will say there's not a ton of that. There's little hints here and there, but in terms of actual characters from the other movies coming in, very
It-
minimal, which is okay. I like
Aside from the scene I just talked about, it was actually kind of done in the same way that they connected the Daredevil
Which I
TV
haven't seen
series.
that, but-
Yeah, it's the same way. It's just like drop a line or two here to show
Yeah.
like
that. Make sure you're
This is what
still
it
in the
is,
same
yeah.
world, but you don't have to like, overdo it. Like,
Yeah.
haha, Iron Man's here. And it's
right.
like,
Yeah. And it was good. That
It's
was a good
tasteful.
way to do
Yeah.
it.
I think it fits in with the universe really well.
Yeah.
In tone
It does, it
and-
does.
Yeah.
Good.
Um,
Do we want to do ratings?
Yeah, I can go.
Go ahead.
I'm giving this a 7.1. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite Marvel movie, but it's not the worst one by far. And I think if you like Marvel movies at all, you should go see this for sure. It's a good summer action flick. I might not see it again right away, but overall had a good time.
I'll probably give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It probably has some of the best fighting sequences I've
Mhm.
seen in any of the Marvel movies, just in choreography alone. It met all my expectations, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, nothing really bad to say.
Yeah. So before I go off on my little rant here, I will say I did enjoy the movie a lot. It definitely pays off at the end. So what goes from a pretty okay heist movie goes to a really great action movie.
Yeah.
So I'm giving it a great. It's not quite up to
Wow.
the same level
Okay.
as Guardians or stuff like that.
Even compared to Age of Ultron, you would say not quite, or
For that, it's tough because it's
they're
kind
very
of
different. What about like
it's kind of
Winter
on the same
Soldier?
level. I kind of grouped that together,
Mhm.
and
Okay.
That's like a whole.
Um,
All right. Okay.
it's probably closer in level to Age of Ultron. But
that's a huge compliment. I feel like.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I have gripes about it, but overall I enjoyed it, which
Mhm.
is what I had to say about Age of Ultron.
All
It
right. So
was
what are
fun.
your grapes, Tom?
So my major complaint is that I am a huge Edgar Wright fan. He's one of my absolute
As am
favorite
I, and
directors.
that was very
Matt gets
sad.
pissed off
Yeah.
at me, but he is tacky and I hate him, so it's
Oh
okay.
well, we'll get into that then.
The World's End
But-
is probably my favorite film of the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, I hate the tears on the world's smallest violin for all the Edgar Wright
Okay,
fans.
okay.
Because he's
Okay,
in-
hold on. Let me
Okay,
get into
finish
this.
yours.
To
Finish
clarify,
yours.
Let me get
Edgar
into
Wright
this.
was the director and kind of overall creative mind behind this movie until
he
right,
split
he-
from Disney.
right before filming he dropped out for creative differences.
And he had
Mhm.
been working on this for like 8 years or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was a passion
with
project.
Joe Cornish, and there are a lot of parts in this movie where you can see that was clearly from Edgar Wright's
Yeah,
head.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
the entire
And
kind
all
of
the action
style of the
was.
action. Yeah,
A lot of the
And
high
then-
stuff was as well.
there's a lot of like kind of the quick cuts that you see in Hot Fuzz and The World's End and
Yep.
Spaced even or Scott Pilgrim, and it's like it's clearly Edgar Wright's style. And then you have someone like Peyton Reed who is fine. There's nothing
did
particularly.
Yes Man.
Yes, man,
Can't
bring
say
it
no to
on.
that.
The Breakup, classic
Um,
action movie.
Okay, go on with
But
your gripes so I can.
he be patient. He just kind of is there. He's not a terribly stylistic director, and so when you see someone like Peyton Reed doing sequences made for Edgar Wright, and Edgar Wright's pretty unique. Like not many people can pull it off. It's just like, hey, let's watch this poor man's version of Edgar Wright.
I definitely see where you're coming from. I think if you don't know Edgar Wright, though, you're not even going to notice.
No, and
you
like
won't.
that's something that I've been very unhappy about since the entire Fallout with Edgar Wright, because the second I heard that he was working on a treatment for this, my heart exploded in joy.
Well, maybe he'll do something like this in the future.
Well, it's just
Maybe.
that Edgar Wright's amazing, I'll give you that, but he's too artistic to ever have worked with the formula that Disney does not want to mess with.
Which is
So
too
that
bad, but
never could have worked.
You're right.
So it's for that you
See-
gotta understand, and then they get a placeholder guy that will play by the rules, and at
Yeah.
that point Edgar Wright had done most of the
right,
work.
but that's my problem.
That's your
I
problem.
mean,
They
you
got
have
a placeholder.
you have Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish working on this script for 8 years, and then you bring in Adam McKay, who's fine. He's the guy behind the Will Ferrell movies and stuff.
He did this? I didn't know.
Yeah, he was the guy that I
Interesting.
think did most of the rewrites for
Well,
it.
and him and Paul Rudd actually wrote a
Yeah,
lot
and
as well.
you get someone like him, and he's good, but then what you're doing is his job was to strip away the unique part that Edgar Wright brought in and
Well,
make it
you
more
see
accessible.
some of his parts still. It's just
Again, but it's you can't have not.
I know.
Right.
I feel like
Uh.
Edgar Wright at some point would have been like, "This is who I'm working for. They're never going to let me do some of this stuff
See-
because Disney's an empire." And then it's hard for me to feel
Yeah.
bad. It's like he knew exactly what he was getting into, and you
I
shouldn't
know
make a
what
deal
you're
with the
saying.
mouse.
But at
if
the
you're
s-
not going to play by the
At
rules.
the same time, though, I mean,
I
who
mean,
else-
I would have
who
loved to have
else,
seen it.
Who
I would have
else
loved.
is going to bring a movie about Ant-Man and do it justice?
Yeah.
From scratch. I mean, Peyton Reed got the treatment delivered to him. He didn't have to do anything. No.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that's
go s-
Tom's rant.
Yeah, you should definitely go see the movie.
I think
for
you
sure.
should. I think it's a good time.
Also, if you haven't seen any Edgar Wright movies, do it because you have to.
Anyway, we gotta go. We're Watch or Don't. Be sure to subscribe. Check out our Facebook page. Check out our Twitter. We're always around, so be sure to subscribe for more content coming your way.
Mhm.
All right.
Thanks.